OK, Dad. I'll go change.
That's a nice surprise. Here's another. Tasty corn sausages contain less than 5% fat. Try corn. It might just surprise you.
Cleavage, Mother.
Motorsport UK later here on ITV1. First, Grand Prix weekend. Jim Rosenthal with all the highlights from Germany.
F1 on ITV, sponsored by LG.
Hello, welcome to Hockenheim. Fernando Alonso, the championship leader, will be blowing out the candles on his 24th birthday cake on Friday, but he can't celebrate his first world title just yet. Coming here to Germany, Silverstone winner Juan Pablo Montoya has been talking very optimistically about the chances of overhauling the Spaniard despite that massive 51-point gap. In qualifying, that dream turned into a nightmare. Jenson Button's returning to the scene of just about the best drive of his life. Last year he started 13th and finished second behind Michael Schumacher. Just like the British Grand Prix, Button's on the front row after a committed and super smooth lap in the BAR. The McLaren Mercedes has been the quickest car in every session, and Kimi Raikkonen, who's never finished the German Grand Prix, maintains that sequence despite a moment in the second last corner. Alonso's aim is to stay in touch with the Finn. Possibly heavy on fuel, it's mission accomplished as the Renault starts on the second row. Montoya is last to go, aiming to put both McLarens up front in Mercedes territory. Everything goes according to plan until a monster mistake at the last corner.
Oh, it's a massive slide for Montoya. He's biffed it into the barriers and he's thrown it all away.
From pole at Silverstone, Montoya cascades to the back of the grid. Here's your full lineup with Tony Jardine.
Kimi Raikkonen's fourth pole this year puts McLaren in the driving seat, but it's Button's second front row on the trot. Alonso's just glad to be third and on the clean side. The fleet Renault fills second row with Fisico. Michael Schumacher fifth and targeting Button. Webber and Heidfeld sixth and seventh in the improving Williams. Takuma Sato's BAR Honda eighth. Trulli's Toyota had brake problems in ninth. Young Klein delighted to beat Red Bull teammate to 10th. DC because he locked up at the hairpin. Ralf Schumacher 12th. Massa Sauber 13th. His teammate Villeneuve 14th. 15th Barrichello on harder Bridgestone tyres. He's only just ahead of the Dutch success of Minardi men. Albers 16th. Grand Prix debutant Dornbos 17th. They're ahead of the Jordans and birthday boy Montero, and Carter Cahan was last after aborting his lap. But hero to villain for McLaren, Montoya crashed.
Here we go then with the best of the 12th round of F1 2005, the German Grand Prix. Your commentators Martin Brundle and James Allen.
Raikkonen on the right, Button on the left. 67 laps of Hockenheim are go! Terrific start by both the Renaults. Look at Webber as well, he's looking racy. Alonso tries to get Raikkonen at the start. Button's down to third, make that fourth as Michael Schumacher goes round the outside. One of the Williams has got tangled up with one of the Toyotas and slow back onto the racetrack as well. Button's trying to get his place back from Michael Schumacher, and it's really ding-dong stuff at the front. That's Felipe Massa as well in the mix, and look at the jostling going on.
And contact at the back there. Who is that? It's a BAR of Sato, has lost its front wing. Montoya 4 or 5 places up already, and so Raikkonen leads from Alonso. Michael Schumacher with a light car, very fast starting. Button in the wars in turn 1, but stayed out of trouble. Now at the back, I think we saw a Sauber climbing up onto Barrichello's Ferrari. All the action at the back of the field.
And side by side into the stadium, look at this! Inside the Renault goes Massa in the Sauber. What a tremendous move that was. And the Williams are in the mix as well.
Coulthard's had a stunning start. We'll see where he's up to at least 8. That's clear, and he's behind Fisichella. Fisichella's had a poor getaway. He had a good getaway, but just ended up in so much trouble on that first lap. Button is 4th then. So Raikkonen leads from Alonso and Michael Schumacher.
Yep, Raikkonen leads, Alonso 2nd, Michael Schumacher is 3rd, Button is 4th. Nick Heidfeld has had a good start as well, he's in 5th place. Fisichella down into 6th place as they come across the line. There you can see Coulthard, in fact, has got past Fisichella. Massa as well. Klein is 9th, 10th is Ralf Schumacher, 11th then Juan Pablo Montoya at the end of the first lap from 20th on the grid. Sato comes into the pits, we saw him losing his nose cone, there he is. And Trulli as well, we saw a Toyota at the back of our screen. Both of them in the pits. Mark Webber was the Williams we saw having problems early on. He has dropped down to 20th place. He's touring very, very slowly around at the moment. An all-action start.
This is down at turn 2 early on, and contact there between Montoya and the Sauber of what I would imagine is Villeneuve at that point. Up at the front, it's all pretty clear, isn't it? And easy, but loads of contact. In comes Mark Webber. So Sato, Trulli and Mark Webber all pitting at the end of lap 1.
And Barrichello and Villeneuve got some air there. He took off over Barrichello's wheel, lost an awful lot of positions as well, Jacques Villeneuve, down into 15th place behind the two Minardis of Christian Albers and Robert Dornbos.
Raikkonen leads comfortably then. Championship leader Alonso is, I would imagine, very happy in 2nd. Button, he said he would expect to finish 4th today. Well, that's where he is at the moment, but I'm sure he's got more fuel than Michael Schumacher on board. Heidfeld up to 5th. Coulthard from 11th to 6th. Massa, Fisichella, Klein. Montoya up to 10th. He's already passed Ralf Schumacher. Thought that might take him a bit more time than that. This is working beautifully for Juan Pablo Montoya.
Yep, he's going to have to worry about how much fuel the cars in front of him are carrying. Christian Klein, particularly Giancarlo Fisichella, who's down in 8th place. Certainly a very fast car that would appear to be out of position there after some jostling on the opening lap. Fisichella dropping from 4th on the grid down to 8th. It just isn't working out for Fisichella this year, is it? After that great victory in Australia, it's been really, really difficult for him.
I suspect they'll try and get Webber's car back together to put him out on the racetrack. Good for the fans and good for him, and of course it may get him a slightly better qualifying slot next weekend in Hungary, which is critical.
Absolutely. Look at Montoya though, he's got past Christian Klein. We're not really following Montoya, which is a little bit frustrating because these guys at the front are quite spaced out. Montoya's obviously really making tracks here. You'll see him coming to your frame. There you are, at the top of your picture now, homing in on the back of Giancarlo Fisichella. That's 8th place. That's the last of the points-paying positions, and we're only 3 laps into this Grand Prix. Montoya having a stormer.
And of course they won't have any clever tactical fuel load in that car because they didn't know he was going to spin off and end up at the back of the grid. He went out to qualify fully expecting to be on the front of the grid, so he should be within the normal pit stop windows, but he's very quickly getting through the pack up to 9th, just 0.8 of a second behind Fisichella and closing quickly.
Into the stadium then, and once again Jacques Villeneuve in the wars. Looks like one of the Minardis he's collided with. He was behind Dornbos on the racetrack, so I wonder whether that's him. He does look like Dornbos that he's collided with. Yes, it is. Look at that. Just tagged him.
Yeah, it looks like Dornbos probably braked earlier than Jacques was expecting, but it looks for all the world as if Jacques Klein ran into the back of him. Raikkonen's lead was 2.5 seconds at the end of lap 4, and Alonso is a further 2.5 ahead of Michael Schumacher. Button in 4th, 7 seconds off the lead now. Just coming into your picture back of frame.
Survival depends on the ability to evolve. Introducing the most advanced Mondeo yet. The new 2005 Mondeo. Evolution is beautiful.
What's happened?
I'm not gonna like this, am I?
The new series of Murder Investigation Team, Monday at 9, ITV1.
Heidfeld is the first man to pit for a scheduled stop. Ted has more news.
Yes, Heidfeld, good stop so far, but I've been into Renault and they think that Fisichella has damaged his rear wing end plate. They're having a very close look at it on the telly, and every time he comes past the pits, but they can see on the telemetry he's lost quite a bit of rear downforce, so that's what's hurting his lap time.
Yes, it's the flat panel on the side of the rear wing that plays a key role in making the under tray and rear wing function properly. But what I'm confused about here is Montoya. He's actually almost falling back into the clutches of Klein more than he is looking at the back over there, and that was Klein actually having a bit of a look at him. So he's got a lot of oversteer. If you watch Montoya struggling with the back of the car, and we know he had that in qualifying because he ended up off the road, but he's got a car that should be going 2 seconds a lap faster than this.
There is Michael Schumacher, just looking at his tyres, a bit of a long shot to be able to see any signs of undue wear. We are after only 21 laps into this Grand Prix. And here comes the BAR of Jenson Button into the pit lane. This is a little earlier than we expected for him. So Schumacher's job yesterday and Button's put a little bit more in perspective by how early Button is coming into the pits.
Yeah, I thought he may have gone 2 or 3 laps further. Coulthard pits as well. He was just behind Button on the road. There were a few seconds in it, so I don't expect any position changes there. Michael Schumacher carries on in 3rd place. That'll move Fisichella up to 4th then, and Montoya up to 5th. If they can all 2-stop from lap 20 though, can't they? So they're pretty much on the same strategy.
Ferrari are ready, we presume, for Michael Schumacher. Meanwhile, into the pits comes 2nd place man Fernando Alonso on lap 23, so he and Michael Schumacher in the end went the same distance into the Grand Prix on the field in qualifying. That's pretty impressive by Michael Schumacher. Here is the reigning world champion into his pit box.
No stalling problems for Alonso, as we've seen with Fisichella. Long stop there for Michael Schumacher to get him through the rest of the Grand Prix with just one more fuel stop. So it's working out very, very well for him, as we said, much better than we expected.
He's been passed, though, by Fisichella, Montoya, and possibly also just about by Ralf Schumacher as well. There's Klein going off the racetrack, carrying a little bit too much speed, I think, into turn 12. It's the fast right-hander on the entry to the stadium. I've had a few going off there over the years. Here is Giancarlo Fisichella from 4th place. Having a few problems with the handling of this car, Ted Kravitz.
Now look out for the bloke with the red balaclava. That's his engineer, Alan Permain. He's having a look at the left-hand side of the rear wing, and he's given it the thumbs up. Fisichella, he managed to get away. He's mastered that getaway from the pit stops this time.
What I don't understand, though, is we were told it had to be low revs, but that was buried in the rev limiter, wasn't it? So must have been a different system they were using there. Certainly he made it absolutely clear that he was trying over-revving it too hard to get it out of the pits. And it looks like Coulthard has got himself ahead of Heidfeld solidly in those pit stops then. So he runs 9th at the moment as some drivers yet to stop. Kimi in the 1:14s now, that's quick.
So Fisichella emerged in 8th place then, behind Barrichello, but in front of David Coulthard. It's very, very tight in that group involving Ralf Schumacher, Michael Schumacher, Jenson Button, Fisichella, Coulthard, Barrichello. Very tight indeed, only about 10 or 15 seconds separating them. And here is Kimi Räikkönen, a 1:14.873 on that last lap. He's obviously getting ready for a fuel stop of his own fairly soon. He'll be encouraged by how early Fernando Alonso came in for his pit stop. He was 0.6 of a second ahead of him on the grid, and yet here he is going further into the Grand Prix than Alonso, who made 1 or 2 small mistakes on his lap, but Räikkönen had to contend with a big moment of oversteer as well, so this puts again into context what a sensational job Räikkönen did in qualifying. Here he is coming to try and lap Klein, who is currently in 12th place in the Red Bull. McLaren are ready for him. Will he come in this time? Yes, he will. Here comes the race leader then, on lap 25, into the pits. It's
practice to get down to that white line speed required. And you can see his crew relatively easily. The black overalls tend to blend into it. It's amazing how difficult it can be when you come in the pitch to spot your own crew. There's a lot of activity. It just seems a maze of colour as you're scraping along the ground, peeping over the top of your little windscreen. But Raikkonen obviously finds them no problem at all. That looked like a very swift stop, didn't it?
Mustn't cross that white line until it runs out. Didn't see whether he did or not. I'm sure he didn't. He's too experienced a campaigner for that, Kimi Raikkonen. There was Fernando Alonso. You can see a long, long way back from him. It looks like Raikkonen has gained some advantage through this first round of pit stops. That's the order you can see. Michael Schumacher down to 5th. Ralf Schumacher yet to make a stop. Here he is, coming in now. Montoya too has yet to make his stop. He's up into 3rd place from the back of the grid. Obviously he'll drop back when he makes his stop, but Montoya going long on the fuel then. Perhaps a lap or 2 longer than his teammate. How expensive a mistake was that for Montoya yesterday in qualifying to drop it on the final corner. There goes Ralf Schumacher out to beat Giancarlo Fisichella, so he's jumped a few cars as Ralf Schumacher, but Fisichella's able to dive down the inside of him. A little mistake there by Ralf, and Fisichella takes the place back again.
Yeah, so all the hard work done by going longer, qualifying not too badly, all thrown away with just getting a bit too hot into turn 2, as he would have lost a little bit of brake temperature, maybe slightly distracted, and that is a good fight there between Fisichella, Ralf Schumacher, David Coulthard and Nick Heidfeld. We expected some very good scraps, didn't we, in the middle of the field, and we're getting them.
We certainly are. So it worked to a sense for Ralf Schumacher. He got himself in front of Coulthard and Heidfeld by running longer, and Massa as well. He's got himself up into 7th place then, has Ralf, from 12th on the grid, but just couldn't quite get the 7th place off, sorry, he's in 8th place, couldn't quite get the 7th place off Giancarlo Fisichella.
So who's yet to stop? Juan Pablo Montoya hasn't stopped yet, and nor has Rubens Barrichello, who stops now. So lap 26, he might even be able to get to the end if they give that a good dollop of fuel. But I'd be surprised if they want to penalise him that much in terms of the weight, and that looks like a 2-stopper long first stint, doesn't it? I don't think that was enough fuel to see him right through. Absolutely not, actually.
Yeah, there's Raikkonen, your race leader, on lap 27. Montoya, his teammate, yet to stop. He's 15 seconds behind him, but he's got to make a stop as well, so that will drop him down. It'll be interesting to see where Montoya comes out. It's going to be in the region of Rubens Barrichello. Sorry, Rubens Barrichello's just pitted. It's going to be between Jenson Button in 5th place and Fisichella in 6th place, I believe, when he re-emerges. So it's working out reasonably well for Montoya. He needs a strong middle stint now, the race.
Yeah, he's been gaining about 2 seconds a lap over that pack. He's been chasing and couldn't pass, so he should have, as you say, leapfrogged a long way down the road. Looking then for an army of about 22 men dressed in black and ready to just check it over, clean out the ducts, the radiator ducts, brake ducts. The fuel is in. The man with the lollipop's looking down the pit lane and looking at the fueler, and away it goes. And he can't lift that lollipop. He can't watch the reaction to the refueler because the refueling rig doesn't always come cleanly out, but that worked beautifully.
Well, Button's gone through. Fisichella goes through now, so Montoya is between the two of them. He is in 6th place. Raikkonen leads, Alonso 2nd. Michael Schumacher is 3rd. Whoa, and now we've got Jacques Villeneuve. Knocked the nose off. So once again, contact for Villeneuve. A very eventful Grand Prix for him. And unfortunately for him, the front wing has folded itself up underneath.
Yeah, Jacques appears to be running into anything that's moving today. And quite clearly, Montero just didn't know that Jacques had committed to go down the outside of him. It wasn't really Jacques' fault, you have to say. Montero left the space, left the door wide open. Jacques appeared to say, thank you, I'll have a go down there then, and Montero just closed the door on him, taking you have to say, an unusual line through the braking zone. You can't diagonal the braking zone like that if somebody's close behind you. Somewhere, Coulthard has overtaken Ralf Schumacher. Remember, Ralf got out in front of all of them, didn't he? And then Fisichella crept through at turn 2. Next in line was Coulthard. He's passed Ralf Schumacher somewhere, unseen by us.
Whoa, that's a slow-moving McLaren, I think it is.
It's Raikkonen if it is.
Raikkonen, he's going very slowly. I don't believe it. Kimi Raikkonen, if that is who I think it is. has got a problem. It's a very high shot, difficult to tell. The engine, look at that. Oh, I don't believe it. Kimi Räikkönen. His reliability worries once again. He's the Iceman. He's not punching any steering wheels. He is just a picture of dejection and despondency because once again his car has let him down. There's always a but for him, and this is the but. It looked great at Hockenheim, but the engine failed. Or something happened in the transmission.
Yeah, I suspect the engine was fading down, hydraulic pressure drops out, you've got no clutch, and it locks the rear wheels. Whatever it is, whatever the cause, with all of the Mercedes-Benz hierarchy here today expecting victory, Räikkönen out of the Grand Prix, and that's a very significant moment for the World Championship, isn't it? Alonso takes up the lead of the Grand Prix. Michael Schumacher's rear tyres, I believe, are beginning to dissolve in front of our very eyes in terms of tread depth available, and he's not fast. He's back in the 1:07, mid-17s. In fact, Fisichella, Coulthard, Ralf Schumacher and Massa, 5, 6, 7 and 8 are all lapping about a second a lap faster. Michael's struggling, Button's caught up in the problem, and now Montoya really is joining the problem too. And there are the rear tyres, and if you look at Michael's right rear, clearly carrying a bit more camber on that tyre than they've stood the left rear up a little bit to help it reduce wear rate. Jenson Button getting very frustrated. They'd almost be better here. In fact, I think they have to pit him early, get him out of the turbulent era, Michael. If they can slot him in, work out where the rest of the traffic is on the racetrack, try and slot Jenson back in. They've got to do it now, otherwise he'll have no defence against Montoya.
Yeah, he's not too far away from his second stop anyway. He stopped on lap 20 first time round, which would bring him in sometime around 46, 47, and this is lap 45, so he can't be a million miles away from his pit stop, Jenson Button. Meanwhile, as you say, Martin, Montoya keeping a watching brief. He knows he's got more fuel in the car. He knows he can leapfrog the pair of these two characters and possibly get himself up into second place, having started from the back of the grid. Whether or not he can do anything about the 30-second lead this man Alonso has, that's a different matter. Montoya just dropping back a little bit now, though, from the Ferrari BAR battle.
Yeah, he's popped back into the 117, so I didn't see a problem, didn't see any specific traffic.
I wonder if he's been radioed and told to do something different in light of what's happened to Kimi Räikkönen there. They suspected an engine failure. And here goes Button up the inside of Schumacher. Something flies off. I think he may have just run over some debris. He ran it up the inside of him into the hairpin. Schumacher keeps his foot in and tries to go around the outside. What a brave move by Jenson Button. Fantastic. That's for second place.
Yeah, and that's so important. I hope he doesn't have to pit too early now that he's made that move. But Button then just took a dive down the inside. He had to do it. He had to make it stick. But he still didn't lock brakes or get all leery, did he? Came from quite a long way back too. But you know you can trust a professional like Michael Schumacher not to just literally turn in on you. And Jenson absolutely worked that one beautifully. There we go again. And he just squeezed Michael out. And not every driver you could do that against, that's for sure.
And now it's Montoya who is behind Michael Schumacher. Suddenly closed up on him again, hasn't he? I think what he must have been doing, dropping back, was just getting out of the dirty air. He knew he had a faster car. He didn't need to just hang around in the slipstream of the Ferrari. Schumacher lapping in the 1:18s. Jenson Button that last time a 1:16, and Button comes into the pits from second.
Yeah, this is actually great news that Montoya is being held up. For Button, that is, of course. And if you're a McLaren fan or a Montoya fan, this will be a fuel to the end and beautifully away. So just 7.7 seconds, a good stop for a two-stopper, isn't it? Now he's got to put in the outlap of his life and some great opening laps with his heavier car. So, and then he might just stay ahead of Montoya. As long as Montoya gets tucked up behind Schumacher. They're doing sort of, Michael did a 17.1 that time. Of course, they're light on fuel now.
Well, Ralf Schumacher was going down the pit straight at the time when Jenson went out, so I don't know if he got out in front of Ralf Schumacher, who was sick, or not. Coulthard will also have to pit fairly soon. Here is the race leader in for his second stop of the afternoon. A decisive moment then in the afternoon, not so much for Alonso, who's got a 37-second lead, but for Button, Michael Schumacher and Juan Montoya, and the composition of the podium. This next few laps are going to be pretty crucial in a few laps' time. There is Montoya. And Alonso still leading on lap 48.
It's about winning and losing at the turn of a card. It's about skill and patience. And you can bet that as the stakes are raised, someone will fold. Sports and TV celebs adopt their best poker faces to win a stake of a £50,000 charity prize. This is a big deal. All-Star Poker Challenge starts Monday at 11:30, ITV1.
I've got to be here to clear my name. Don't walk away from me. Don't be a coward.
Just watch this space, yeah?
You never killed Fenner. I did.
Bad Girls, Tuesday at 9, ITV1.
Lap 50 of the German Grand Prix. Second place, Michael Schumacher. Pits. Jenson Button is exiting. Turn 16 into turn 17. Coming down the pit straight. Here he is. Jenson Button going to nab the place away from Michael Schumacher.
Yeah, he's going to keep it easy because he did a 1:17.0 on his first flying lap, did Jenson. First complete flying lap. And Michael was doing a 1:17.0 while he was out there. Michael runs wide in turn 2. It's now all about how fast Montoya can go. He's in traffic. He's done a 1:18.0. This could be working out very nicely for Button if he can just keep pumping in those hot laps. It was a 16.9 this time around. And now look at Michael's tyres all round, looking very, very thin indeed. Barrichello, I think he's just about to have Klein behind him, so he regains that place that Klein took away from him.
Yep, the battle then between Juan Montoya and Jenson Button for second place here this afternoon, because Alonso is leading this Grand Prix. He's already made his second stop this afternoon and still has a 17 seconds in his pocket over Juan Montoya in second place. And Jenson Button fighting with Michael Schumacher as well. He's in front of him. Schumacher seems to be struggling with the right rear tyre, right rear Bridgestone tyre on his Ferrari. Has been for the last 10 or 15 laps. Button was bottled up behind him as Fisichella pits from what was third place. It's not been his afternoon either, Fisichella. He was hit by Takuma Sato in the opening lap. It was a very dramatic start to this Grand Prix. Lots of jostling, quite a few collisions. Mark Webber involved, Dornbos involved, Jacques Villeneuve involved as well. Takuma Sato hit Fisichella, as we mentioned. Jarno Trulli had to come into the pits as well, so quite an unsettling opening lap.
That worked out well for Ralf Schumacher. He's ahead of David Coulthard now, I believe. That was a great pit stop for Toyota and really launched his man right up in there behind Giancarlo Fisichella. So suddenly Ralf Schumacher's come right into play for the scrap of the middle run of point. Louise has news.
Yeah, I did tell you it might be a while before I got to speak to Kimi Räikkönen. It's going to be about a week, actually. There are a bank of TV cameras waiting outside the communications centre to speak to him. He's thwarted us all. He sneaked out through the kitchen and into a waiting car and sped away. I guess he was trying to beat the traffic.
One of the Ferraris is in trouble. Looks like Rubens Barrichello. Very, very slow there. What happened here? Looking, covering Klein.
Yes, Klein once again outbraking easily the Ferrari, but Barrichello's got a problem on the exit of the corner, just going absolutely nowhere in a hurry. Klein came from a long way back, but Barrichello obviously struggling for pace, so some kind of problem inside that Ferrari. Looks brake related, although on the exit of the corner he wasn't getting away either. Alonso's lead 16 seconds over Montoya, who's doing 1:16.0s now. Button's doing 17.1s. Montoya surely is going to emerge in second place when he makes his stop.
We've lost Kimi Räikkönen. Louise Goodman there referring to the fact he's retired from this Grand Prix. We don't know what the reason was yet. The team think it might be an engine failure. Certainly the car ground to a halt just 16 laps ago and snatched victory away from Räikkönen. He looked fairly comfortable, clear of Fernando Alonso, his big championship rival, and if Alonso can stay where he is here for the last 15 laps, he's going to have a 36-point cushion over Raikkonen, with only 7 Grand Prix to go in this World Championship. Our attention is focused on the battle between Montoya and Button. Montoya has one more step to make. That last lap, a 1:16.3. Jenson Button was 18 seconds behind him at the end of the previous lap. What is the margin now? We're still waiting for Button to come through, but Montoya certainly looks as though he's going to snatch second place away from Button.
I think we could see Michael Schumacher tumbling down the field yet. On a fresh tank of fuel with the skinny tyres, he's really hurting on his pace. He's in the 18s and consistently in the 18s. He'll have Fisichella, Ralf Schumacher, and this is all for position back in 12th and 13th. And Montoya, second place man Montoya, getting held up in it. They should actually, theoretically, be getting out of his way, probably not getting any blue flags waved. And finally, Heidfeld does move out of his way and truly tried to punish him around the outside, but failed. But that's held Montoya up quite a lot on this lap. I still think he's got enough in his pocket to leapfrog Button. Michael Schumacher's just 4.6 seconds ahead of Fisichella and about 6 seconds ahead of Ralf Schumacher's brother in 6th. So I think we're going to see some more action yet from the Ferrari in terms of falling down the field.
So here's the man with all the eyes on him. His teammate Raikkonen has retired from this Grand Prix when his victory seemed assured, a victory that would have kept his championship hopes alive, instead of which he's relying on Montoya to try and do something about Alonso. It's too much to ask, though, because by the time Montoya's made his stop, he'll be half a minute behind the Renault, as in comes Gianno Trulli for his second stop of the afternoon.
Yeah, let's not forget Montoya started 20th and last on the grid, went straight up to P11 at the end of the first lap, and then struggled, didn't he? Hit the buffers. But now the team are in the pit lane for Juan Pablo Montoya to make that stop. He's got 22.7 seconds advantage over Button, plus anything he can make on the in-lap. So let's say 23 seconds, that ought to be enough, didn't it, to get him out?
More than enough, more than enough. He's done the job. Now it's up to the team to do the job. No delays, no sticking wheel nuts, no problems with refueling hoses for Montoya. He wants a nice, clean, undramatic pit stop. Where's Button?
They don't want to be touching the wheel nuts either, do they? They're not allowed to take those off now, but they can certainly have nozzle problems with those refueling rigs. In the pits he goes. No point in charging at your men because they're all backing off instead of coming towards you. You want to be able to let the refueler follow the nozzle in, follow... that sounded like a nearly stall, didn't it? He just kept it alive. And look, he's out of the pit lane speed limit now, and Button's still midway down the pit straight. Job done. At the moment, now Button's got to recharge as Montoya now with identical... In fact, that was Sato. Button was even further behind.
Yeah, Montoya pits and retains second place. That's the top 8 at the moment. Coulthard's still going very well, although he's lost a place to Ralf Schumacher. And we've got 11 to go here at Hockenheim. There's Carter Cahan, obviously something not right with that car. He's been off the track twice in the last couple of minutes. And look at this, Giancarlo Fisichella having a go at Michael Schumacher. He tries to run it up the inside of him. You know he's going to do it again. That was just an opening exchange, just to let Michael know that he was there. He's lost a little bit of ground, but I'm sure he'll close that up very quickly. And I think Ralf Schumacher as well will be keeping an eye on this, thinking if Fisichella makes a mistake, I will have 5th place off him, and then maybe have a crack at my brother for 4th as well. It's going to be a very long 5 laps for Michael Schumacher.
Yes, Fizzy got a much better drive out of the hairpin, but this was a half effort here, and he nearly frightened himself into the side of Michael's car and then dropped 4 or 5 car lengths and didn't quite work out. He really should have, I think he should have spotted that a touch earlier. It was never going to happen, that one. He'd been better to position himself for the exit of the corner.
He's done well, in a sense, Fisichella, that he got a huge whack on the opening lap from Takuma Sato, which must have affected the handling and balance of this Renault. He's never been on the pace of his teammate who's leading this Grand Prix, Fernando Alonso. He's now 53 seconds behind him, and he's been mixed up in this midfield battle as well. So Fisichella's done well to get himself in a position to challenge for 4th, but he really wants to get and try and get past.
Coulthard might join that party too. Michael's going so slowly, he's in the 18s. Coulthard low 17s, late 16s, is about to join. It's about 3 seconds adrift at the moment, so before the end of the race he'll be there, probably a little bit too late. But Michael, you know, we've got the same situation. Fisichella with a much faster car can't do anything with it.
There is Juan Montoya, the sole surviving McLaren Mercedes-Benz. We saw Kimi Raikkonen, who appeared to have this race won some sort of technical failure, either an engine failure or a transmission failure. We haven't been told yet by the team, but it stopped him out on the track just around half distance in this Grand Prix, and that means he will be 36 points behind Alonso going forward from here. So that's been the story of the Grand Prix as far as he's concerned. Montoya making up for his error in qualifying yesterday, where he crashed in the final corner of his lap, has gone from 20th on the grid to 2nd. A tremendous fight through the field for him. He managed to leapfrog Jenson Button at the 2nd round of pit stops. Button's done a super job this afternoon in a car which is demonstrably not as quick as the McLaren or the Renault. And there's another man, another Brit, who's had a very strong afternoon here in Germany. David Coulthard in the Red Bull Racing is in 7th place, just over 2 seconds behind the Toyota of Ralf Schumacher. And he is the highest placed non-works car, if you like. Not a works engine in there, it's the Cosworth engine, which is a decent engine, but without the factory backing of Renault, Mercedes-Benz, Toyota, Honda, etc. So it's been a super job by the whole team and by David Coulthard. And then Felipe Massa also having another strong afternoon in 8th place. Teammate Villeneuve down in 15th. Big disparity this afternoon in the performance between teammates. A few of them have been lapping each other, and Klein in 9th is 3 places behind David Coulthard. 3 to go. Is Fisichella going to be able to get past Michael Schumacher? That's the remaining story of the afternoon. Ted Kravitz has news for us.
Well, I've been into the Ferrari garage. They're absolutely exasperated with the conditions of the tyres we've seen on my car. They say there is just no grip. Both drivers saying there's just no grip on these tyres anymore. They say both drivers are doing their best. They can't do any more. That just about sums up their season, doesn't it?
Well, this is the season in which the rules changed to say you have to make a single set of tyres last for the single lap qualifying on Saturday, and then the whole 2-hour Grand Prix on Sunday. Schumacher locks up, Fisichella looks up on the inside of him. Is he going to use that legendary Renault acceleration? Michael Schumacher just about manages to keep in front, but it's almost side by side for Giancarlo Fisichella through 7 into 8 then. This is a slow corner, picking up the pace into the stadium section after this, down the short straight.
Yeah, Giancarlo keeps having half goes though, but Michael outbraked himself as his tyre grip, mechanical grip of his tyres fades away. But Fizzy tried to duck up the inside of a flat-out right-hander, a little bit 2 corners down from here, and the torque and traction of the Renault getting him up nearly alongside.
Oh, he's got through. We missed it. He was got through. The German director was having a look at the leader, and Fisichella ran up the inside of Michael Schumacher. Here's how he did it.
Yeah, got in his slipstream down the back straight, got track position under braking for the hairpin. At that point, it's pretty easy. Michael tries to swoop out wide to cut back inside. There's no way to go. He then had to defend himself against his brother, but Fisichella then finally making it stick to move up to 4th place. Alonso leaves from Montoya. Button a comfortable 3rd, just beginning to catch Montoya a little bit. Michael Schumacher slips down to 5th then. He's got Ralf, his brother, right behind him, and Coulthard in very close company too.
Well, this is now the last lap for Alonso. He's got such a significant lead over the battle we've been watching. They're a minute behind him on the racetrack. And so Fernando Alonso is on the slowing down, is on the final lap of this Grand Prix. Jarno Trulli has had a troubled afternoon. Manages to get out of the car. He's retiring from this Grand Prix. This is going to be victory number 7 for Fernando Alonso in his career, and what an important one for him. Across the line he goes, very, very slowly. It's the only time all weekend he's gone slowly, but it's all he needed to do, because he wins the German Grand Prix. McLaren are on the podium, but it's not Kimi Räikkönen. It's the man who finished at the back of the grid, started at the back of the grid, to come through to 2nd place, Juan Montoya, making up for his mistake yesterday, giving himself a good qualifying slot for the Hungarian Grand Prix. And Jenson Button, a fabulous drive once again at Hockenheim. He's always excelled here in 3rd place. Then it will be Fisichella coming through 4th, Michael Schumacher 5th, unless he's been passed by teammate Ralf Schumacher. And that has been, it's Giancarlo Fisichella. All line astern, there they go, 4, 5. Where's the Toyota? There it is, 6th place, Ralf Schumacher.
7th for Coulthard, 8th for Massa, the final point to him then. So 1st and 4th for Renault, and Alonso, he does like to make sure we can keep count.
6 wins this season for Fernando Alonso, and the championship one step closer.
And Alonso right on course to be the youngest world champion ever. Montoya back on the podium, but he will be disappointed. It is great to see Jenson Button tasting the champagne again. We'll be right back talking to the drivers, plus the views of Tony Jardine.
No sex for Lent. For 40 days.
You won't last a week.
I'm gonna go the distance.
How many days do you think you'll last? Days?
You going on a date with her, isn't that kind of getting in the way of the thing?
No, not at all. They're totally connecting, and it's not a sexual thing. Good night.
Dude, you gotta tell her.
You're giving me a high five?
The movie premiere, 40 Days and 40 Nights, Wednesday at 9, ITV1.
Dishonest, disobedient and downright disrespectful.
The geezer.
These lads have been taking the diss for too long.
They're not going to get to me.
Welcome to the new and improved Bad Lads Army.
Remember me always a sergeant!
4 weeks of private hell. Officer training.
To exercise the stiff upper lip.
That will teach these boys some manners.
What is your problem?
It's time for discipline.
You understand?
Bad Lads Army Officer Class, Thursday at 9, ITV1.
And welcome back to Hockenheim. Once again, the odds-on favourite Kimi Raikkonen has failed to finish the German Grand Prix. Fernando Alonso cruising to his 6th win of the season. Alonso will enjoy that birthday on Friday. Montoya last to start, second to finish. Frustrating. Button back on the podium. Outstanding. Fisichella taking Michael Schumacher and completing a fine day for Renault. Ralf Schumacher, 6th place for Toyota. David Coulthard's excellent season continues. Massa, the last scorer. But Alonso is closing in on that world title.
Are you even worried about McLaren anymore?
Yeah, I'm always worried. I think at the moment, to be honest, I think they are quicker than us, these 2 or 3 tenths. So we have to work a little bit. We have some new pieces coming from to Hungary in the car. So we'll see if we can catch them. For sure, in Hungary, I think we can beat them because it's a race that should be good for us.
We've got the speed, they've got the reliability, and in this game you have to have both. But you know, it's still 7 races, and as I said earlier in the weekend, you know, we'll try and win all of the remaining races and come second at 2 if possible. And we'll just have to see how it unfolds, and you know, dig deep, get over the disappointment and get on with it.
You know, it's my 2nd podium and I started bloody 20th. You know, there's races where I started 2nd and haven't even finished the bloody race.
What was the car like in traffic? Because it seemed that the lap times were down. As soon as you got clear air, you could go right out.
But you know, the way the rules are, you can't really follow cars. You know, this year with the rule changes, I actually harder to follow cars than before, and our car in traffic is not the best one. But once you get clear, you could push. So what I did is, every time I got within a second of somebody, just back off the engine, back off everything, and save fuel.
We wanted him to leave the circuit immediately, and that's what he did. And
that's interesting, Ron. Why is that? Before he said something he might regret?
No, it's just that I know how he handles his disappointment, and it's privately. It's be a little bit longer than the normal 1 or 2 hours, and it's just better to leave him alone in these circumstances and get him back home and in a quiet place. You know, the reality is still mathematically possible, but of course, you know, when you're leading races like this, it's so hard to lose them.
Talk us through the move with Jenson. Was it very fair, and is there any way you could have defended that?
No, I mean, he quite clearly was strong on the brake. I had no grip left on the tires, so I braked at the last point, and he just braked deeper inside, and it was a fair, nice maneuver from him. I have had very good maneuvers with him, honestly. Those ways always pretty straightforward, and again today, nothing I could do.
Great move you pulled on him. Just talk us through it.
Well, I seem to be losing quite a bit through turn 1. That lap I was a little bit closer to him, the high-speed corner. Turn 2 and turn 3 went very smoothly, and it was just out-braking him to the hairpin. I knew that was the best corner to do it because he was very slow at the apex there, so I just went for it, and it worked out, which is nice.
we know that you were struggling with technical problems. Are you taking some joy from the fact that you drove a good race, you got the 4th position, you overtook Michael Schumacher?
Yeah, considering the start of the race, I think 4th position with the troubles I had is a great result. I did my best and I couldn't push at the limit because of the brake problems.
Tony, as things stand, it's really hard to overtake during a Grand Prix. Going back to the start of the race, it was almost as though everyone said, if we don't do it now, we'll never do it. It was mayhem.
It was bedlam, wasn't it? And also, Michael Schumacher had clearly targeted Jenson Button before the start of the race. Just look at this as they're going all over the place. Kimi gets a great start, Alonso gets behind him, and Button gets inside Michael Schumacher, but Schumacher goes all the way around the outside on the apron, the runoff area. That's not the track. Trulli's out there, Webber's out there, Barrichello's out there. Look again. And here is Michael Schumacher, and he goes round and takes that place from Jenson Button on the runoff area. Behind him, there's Trulli, there's Webber, Barrichello out there too. That's not the racetrack. They're not meant to be out there. But because they're all over the place, who's going to penalise who?
Kimi Raikkonen was away and gone. It looked like a doddle in front of all the Mercedes employees here. Lap 35. The McLaren stops, and for me, a big moment in the season.
Yeah, that's a pivotal moment in the season. That's a defining moment in the season as he grinds to a halt. Clearly, we wondered if it was the engine problems. They'd had 2 practice engine problems in GB and in France. They'd had a bearing problem and a shaft problem onto the oil pump. But again, there's Kimi Raikkonen dejected because he knows that has really blunted his championship challenge. Goodness only knows how they're going to bring him back from this one and get his spirits back in Hungary, because it's still mathematically possible, and they've got to get him to fight again.
Well, he will start first in qualifying. That's a big setback for him in Hungary. He doesn't say too much at the best of times, but you have to have sympathy for Kimi Raikkonen, who left the circuit without saying anything, let down once again by the machinery.
Yeah, and simply we've done the addition of the points. Had he kept the lead after the pole position in San Marino, had they not have those engine problems, had they not had the problem in Malaysia with the rear wheel, would have been leading the championship. It's the fastest car. They found power in the engine, but no reliability.
Irrespective of the state of the world champions' tyres, we all enjoy the moment when Jenson Button put one over Michael Schumacher in Germany.
Great it was, and in front of all the Red Army, the Michael Schumacher army. And this was payback time after the start for Jenson Button, grabbing this 2nd place, but he'd been hounding Michael Schumacher down. He'd been really right up with him. I have to say, Schumacher really defended for lap after lap, but Jenson Button showed that he's a great overtaker, as he did here last year. He's not only smooth and fast, he can be aggressive when he wants, and that team, BAR, want to keep their man.
And Williams want him as well next season. Fisichella's had his moments with Renault this season, but they give him a thumbs up after he did the same to Michael Schumacher late on.
Fisichella drove very well. Don't forget, he'd had a bump at the beginning from Sato. He'd been into the pits. They'd had a look, and they think it was okay, but his car was generally slow. But here he was looking for constructors' points. There's no doubt in my mind that people are shouting at him down the radio, particularly Briatore, come on, get past him. And he finally takes that 4th place. Michael Schumacher was mighty in his defence. He went with the experimental softer tyres and he held them off. Okay, he salvaged 5th place, but it could have been a lot worse.
Win number 6 for Fernando Alonso on a gigantic step towards the title.
It is a big step towards the title, and the man deserves it. Renault deserve it. Bob Bell deserves it. The technical director Rob White, who's designed this engine, there he is, he's telling us 6 this year, 7 in total. He goes to Hungary next, where of course he had his first win and lapped Michael Schumacher in 03. And who's to say that he might not win in Hungary as well?
I get the feeling there could be some more of that bubbly stuff out on Friday in Hungary when he will celebrate that 24th birthday. Tony, thank you very much indeed. Let's take a check then on the Drivers' Championship. A massive 36-point lead. Alonso, could win the title as early as Monza. Spa, though, in mid-September looks more likely. Schumacher now just 4 points behind the unlucky Raikkonen, and Juan Pablo Montoya moves up to 4th. In the Constructors, Renault, the only team to get both cars in the points. 15 more in the kitty for the Renault boys. They will take some catching now. 22 clear of McLaren. Lower down, Button's 6 points moves BAR up to 7. Your team report now from James Allen.
Ferrari brought a new aerodynamics pack here this weekend. It gave them better balance, but not a lot more pace. Still quite a bit of work to be done there. BAR Honda, a welcome return to the podium for Jenson Button. Takuma Sato still pointless though.
A massive day for Fernando Alonso. He's now virtual world champion, and a great recovery from a first lap accident for Fisichella to finish in 4th. Williams qualified strongly but faded in the race. Heidfeld 11th, Webber messed up by a first lap incident. McLaren, a black day for them. Raikkonen must feel his name just simply isn't on this championship. Montoya, though, a good recovery. Sauber, Felipe Massa was huge today, from 13th on the grid up into the points in 8th place. David Coulthard was 7th, having qualified outside the top 10 and finished in front of teammate Christian Klien. Toyota, a good day for Ralf Schumacher, finishing in the points thanks to some clever strategy from Mike Gascoigne's men. Jordan outpaced here this weekend by Minardi for once, but Montero maintains his 100% finishing record. And as for Minardi, what can you say? Only 2.5 seconds a lap off the pace of Ferrari on the same Bridgestone tyres on a fraction of the budget. Hats off to the men from Faenza.
Thank you, James. Next weekend it is the Hungarian Grand Prix, qualifying live from Budapest, 11:30 on the Saturday morning. Our pre-race show kicks off at noon on Sunday. Highlights just after 11, all on ITV1. So then the first podium of the season for Button. Alonso profiting from Raikkonen's misfortune. This could just have been the pivotal Grand Prix of the season. That card player Alonso has a very strong hand now. Good night.
F1 on ITV, sponsored by LG.
If you'd like to know more about Formula One, the website sponsored by LG is itv.com/F1.
It's ITV1. Now we've got World Sport later. All the sports news from right round the globe. That's at 1:15. First, Brands Hatch with a bit of style. Motorsport UK.
Hello there and welcome to Brands Hatch. For this week's edition of Motorsport UK, we've got a wide variety of racing for you, starting with round 6 of the Porsche Carrera Cup and the Formula Renault UK Championship, and staying with single-seaters we have round 8 of Formula BMW. But before that, I got the lowdown from teammates and rivals Stian Sorley and Sam Bird. We're here at the Exhibition Centre and you two guys are racing in the Formula BMW Championship. First of all, Sam, how competitive is it this year?
Yeah, for sure, it's very competitive this year, even more so than last year. We got some great drivers out there this year. Matt Housen, who's put it on pole today, Stian, Ross Kerno, Simon Walker-Hansel. So, I mean, it's a very competitive field. I would think there are at least 10 people that could win races this year.
Do you think the competition makes you a better driver?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I developed a lot from last year, and it's also you can't go the second year and just win it. It's really hard, and it's all good driver, experienced driver in the championship. And also you have all the top teams like Fortec, Carling, Promotech, so who is in F3 as well. So it's good like that.
Your teammates and your friends off the track. What happens when you get out there on the track?
We have a lot of respect for each other on the track. You can see that at Thruxton. We both qualified first and second. We both got off the line well, and we went away from the rest of the field. We battled a fantastic, race. It was fantastic to watch, and the commentators even said how cleanly we drove. So, no, I have a lot of respect for Stian. I think he thinks the same about me. I hope so, anyway.
Thanks very much for talking to us. Let's see how they get on in round 8. Here's Ben.
Thanks very much, Diana. Cars moving away on their green flag lap already. Now, we've had one race at Brands already. It was won by Matt Housen. But lining up on pole position for this one is Sam Bird. He's ahead of Jordan Wise, Ross Kerno, Dean Smith, Stian Sorley and Matt Housen. Matt actually leading the championship as well, but only starting in 6th place for this one. He's got some work to do. Michael Meadows is top rookie on the grid. He lines up in 9th place. But also further down the order, watch out for the likes of Ewan Hankey, who's joint leader in the rookie class, and Niall Breen, who's further down than I would have expected. He's in 18th place on the grid, had a good run at Rockingham last time out. So we're all set for the start of this 8th round of the Formula BMW UK Championship, and Sam Bird makes a good clean getaway there from pole position. Jordan Wise cuts down to the inside as quickly as possible to move into 2nd place. Ross Kerno is in 3rd, Dean Smith in 4th, and they all move away pretty much in grid formation. You can see Nathan Antunes in the yellow and green car trying to make up some ground. Here we are on board with Niall Breen. As I mentioned, he's qualified further down than I might have expected, so watch for a good racy performance from him. He's trying to go around the outside at the hairpin. Always tough to do, but I think he may well have gained at least one place by doing that. He's behind Callum McLeod, looking to get past the number 15 car, but he'll have to do that elsewhere. Not enough space into Graham Hill Bend. Sam Bird is the race leader, though, yet to win in Formula BMW this year, but he's been a front runner throughout the championship, and he's been fast at just about every circuit we've been to. Had a bit of a bad time at Rockingham. He failed to finish either race there, but he's in good shape here. We're on board with his teammate, though, Stian Sorley, who's won 2 races already this season. They were both at Thruxton, and now he's trying to see if he can do something about closing up to those ahead. He's running in 5th place at the moment, so he's got a bit of work to do here. Up to the hairpin. See how tight he tries to get into the apex of the corner. Race leader is Sam Bird. Jordan Wise running in 2nd place. The two have made a bit of a break from their rivals, as you can see, and in fact Jordan Wise in 2nd place. Oh, and we've got 2 off there. Oh dear, it's all running a bit out of shape there. Car number 19, that's Aaron Steele. And coming down the hill, it looked like Michael Meadows and he had a bit of a coming together, which pushed them both onto the grass. Let's see if we can find out what happened. Meadows on the inside in car number 7, squeezing out wide. He ran a bit wide into the corner and then made a bit of contact with Aaron Steele, and they both ended up going off. Well, that was unfortunate. Touch there, and you can see it just took the steering out of both their hands virtually. They both managed to sort it out very well, but the net result is they lost a great many places between them. Sam Bird in car number 5, the red and white car, he leads this race. And as I mentioned, looking for his first win of the season. The youngster, he's only 17 years old, but he started racing when he was only 10. Oh, we've got more cars off up at the top of the hill there. Lars Vilhoen and Aaron Steele again involved, I think. And also Ed Hoy is off. Let's see if we can find out what happened here. Coming up into the hairpin. Oh, there was a bit of a squeeze. Up the inside went Aaron Steele. There wasn't really room, and poor Ed Hoy had nowhere to go. So he ends up in the gravel, but simply by trying to avoid hitting the other car there. Sam Bird is our race leader. Jordan Wise getting a little closer to him into Paddock Hill Bend. Both these guys with 1 year's experience of Formula BMW behind them. Jordan Wise finished 5th in the rookie class last year, but Sam Bird was the runner-up in the rookie category. It was Ross Curnow who actually won the class last year, but Ross not having quite such a strong time here at Brands Hatch at the moment. Curnow finished in 4th place in the opening race of this weekend, so he's still up there and needs to keep the pressure on, but it's Sam Bird. So far so good for him in the red and white Fortec car. Don't go too wide into clearways, otherwise Jordan Wise will have an opportunity to nip past. And Sam Bird from Claygate in Surrey, not too far away from this Brands Hatch circuit. Started racing when he was only 10 years old in Formula 6. There's his father keeping a close eye on things. Well, he's looked after him in his early years in karting, but Sam, a real sportsman. He was approached by Wimbledon Football Club, was striker in the Millfield school team that won the Independent Schools FA Cup trophy year before last. We're just riding briefly there with Jonathan Legree, but there is Sam Bird, still just controlling this race, but nerve-wracking for him because Jordan Wise couldn't be any closer without actually overtaking him. And Jordan Wise driving for Nexa Racing, team that's new to Formula BMW this year, but it's an experienced team. They've run Formula Fords in recent years, and they won the Formula Ford title last year, and now they've moved into Formula BMW and looking to try and do likewise here onto the final lap. And Sam Bird's now got to just defend for one more lap to take his first win in Formula BMW, but Jordan Wise is very anxious to take his first victory, and that's why he's stepping up the pressure now. Can Sam Bird withstand the pressure? He led at Thruxton to be passed by his teammate Stian Sorley, but here he's only got a couple of corners in which to hold on as Jordan Wise continues his attack.
He'll do it, he'll do it. I hope so, I hope so. Come on.
Oh, there's a lot of support on the pit wall for Sam, but, well, is he going to do it? Out of the last corner, Jordan Wise got a great run here. If he can pick up the slipstream, he might be able to overtake. Sam Bird holds the inside. Jordan Wise has not quite got enough, and it's victory to Sam Bird for Fordic Motorsport, just from Jordan Wise for Nexa Racing, and Sam's dad is well pleased with that one. Well, it was a good, tough race. Sam Bird takes his first win, Jordan Wise settles for second. Ross Curnow in third, so still right up there ahead of Dean Smith. Stian Sawley was fifth, and Matt Howson finished down in 6th place. Donington winner Nathan Antunes in 11th place. Niall Breen moved up to 13th position, just toward